What's up YouTube, Saf here on Super Saf TV, and in this video I'm going to be comparing the specs of the Nikon D810 to the Nikon D800. So the D810 has just been officially announced today, and it supersedes the D800 and the D800E, which came out roughly about 2 years ago. Both of these models came out roughly about 2 years ago, and it's offering some new features and some improvements as well. The D800, when it released, was a bit of a game changer for Nikon, and it really started competing on the video side of things with Canon. Before the D800, Nikon really didn't have much to offer in terms of video on DSLR compared to what Canon had. But the D800 did change that, and it's been a great camera for me personally because I have been using it for the past 2 years. Pretty much most of my videos on the channel have been filmed on the D800, so you can go ahead and check those out. And there's also a full review of the D800 on the channel, which I'll be linking in the description below. And that was the first full camera review that I did on the channel. And since then, the D800 has served me very well in terms of images as well as video. And now that has been improved with the D810. But what has improved? What's new? What's different? Well, do hit that thumbs up button and let's find out in this head-to-head spec comparison. So let's kick off with the resolution and sensor size. The Nikon D800 came with the 36.3 megapixel sensor, the highest resolution on any DSLR out there at the time. I still believe it is the highest, if not one of the highest resolutions of any DSLR right now, and that is absolutely huge. It allows you lots of flexibility when you're taking your shots. You can crop in further later on as well, and that always has been the unique selling point of the Nikon D800. The D810 maintains that same resolution, so you've got the 36.3 megapixel sensor. It's also the same sensor size, but you've got a new processor. You've got the Xpeed 4 processor compared to the Xpeed 3 processor on the D800. So you've got an improvement in terms of speed as well as noise, they're saying, so that's nice to see that that has been improved on the D810. The other thing that you've also got on the D810 is no optical low pass filter. Now on the D800 you did have the optical low pass filter. On the D800E you did not have the optical low pass filter. Now for those of you who are not aware, not having the optical low pass filter gives you more sharper and more crisp images, and this is something that Nikon are doing a lot on their DSLRs, the D7100, the D4S. There's quite a few of their DSLRs that they're now incorporating this with, and it definitely has been quite successful for them. And the D800E was the starting point of this. This is the first time they did not include the optical low pass filter, so that's great to see that they've continued this on, and it should result in more sharper and more crisp images. Now the other thing that the D810 also offers is RAW-S format. Now what this does is lets you capture raw images but at a smaller resolution, roughly about 9 megapixels. Now this is something that I did mention in my full Nikon D800 review, was that it's great to have 36.3 megapixels, but in terms of the file sizes at RAW, you're looking at huge file sizes. So having a resolution that's smaller but still at RAW is beneficial, and this is offered here. I would have liked it to be RAW, maybe RAW M. So you've got RAW S, RAW M, RAW L, so you've got different stages, and it would have been nice to have had RAW at roughly about 18 megapixels. That's not there. You've only got it at RAW S, which is roughly about 9 megapixels from what I've seen. So this option is here, not brilliant, but it's something that's nice to have. Now moving on to autofocus, you've got 51 autofocus points on both cameras, as well as 15 cross type, but the D810 does come with group area autofocus as well, so you've got a little bit more flexibility, and it's going to let you group them rather than just having single point when you need it. So that's an addition that you've got here in autofocus on the D810. Now ISO, the D800, you've got between 100 to 6400. This has been improved upon, and you've got 64 to 12,800, so you do have a big improvement here in terms of the ISO range on the Nikon D810. Now it goes down to 64 ISO. Now this is something new and something that we've not seen before on DSLRs. Usually have to start at 100 ISO, so going down even further on ISO is great, and it's going to help reduce noise and things when you're taking images, especially in control situations where you want to go down as low as possible. Continuous shooting has also been improved. You've got 5 frames a second compared to 4 frames a second on the D800, so there has been improvement here. And also in DX crop mode, so that's 1.2 times crop. With the battery grip, you can get up to 7 frames a second. On the D800, you could only get up to 6 frames a second. So there's another improvement that you've got here. There's lots of things that have remained the same. So for example, the maximum shutter speed has stayed to 1/8000th of a second. The maximum flash sync speed has also remained the same to 1/250th of a second. And you've also got 100% viewfinder coverage on both cameras, which is great to see. Now the card slots have also remained the same, so you've got SD card slot as well as a CF card slot, so you can use these for backup or also a fallover as well if you want. Now one thing that Nikon cameras offer is interval timer shooting for time lapse, and both of these cameras do come with that, but on the D800 you can only do a maximum of 999 shots. On the D810 you can get a maximum of 9,999 shots, so some really long time lapses that you can get on the Nikon D810. And this is something that's great because not all DSLRs come with this built in. The Canon cameras don't come with this built in, you have to get an addition if you want to get interval timer shooting, so having time lapses straight off the camera is a great feature to have. The resolution of the LCD screen has also been improved, so you've got a high resolution on the D810, which is useful. Now moving on to the video, which is quite an interesting part, and there's been some great improvements in terms of video on the D810. Firstly, starting off with the frame rates, so you've got 24, 25 and 30 frames a second at 1080p on the D800, and you've also got 50 or 60 frames a second at 720p. On the D810, now you can also film at up to 50 or 60 frames a second at full 1080p HD, so you've got slow motion at full HD, which is great to see. No 4K as yet, that would have been nice, but this is something we're probably going to have to wait a couple of years for on the next version maybe. We've got some more improvements here on video as well. Firstly, you've got flat color style on the D810, so if you're somebody that's serious about video, most likely you're going to be grading your footage at later points, so having that flat color style is definitely beneficial. You've also got auto ISO when you're filming in manual mode, so this is quite nice, so you can keep a constant aperture as well as a constant shutter speed, but the ISO will automatically change, and it will gradually change as well, so it won't be the standard, you know, the clicking that you usually get when you change your ISO. It's going to be a gradual change, so if you go from a dark environment to a light environment, it shouldn't be a problem, and it should be quite smooth. So if you are moving the camera around, you don't have to be in a fully controlled situation all the time, so that's definitely beneficial. You've also got zebra stripes as well. Now this is going to help you see your highlights and make sure that they're not blown out on screen, so on your LCD screen. Now in terms of the recording length, this hasn't changed. You've still got 20 minutes at full HD as well as 29 minutes and 59 seconds at 720p. So if you do want to film at 1080p, which is most likely that you're going to do, you can only film at a continuous length of 20 minutes. I would have liked to have seen this improved, but it hasn't been. However, if you do use an external recorder through the uncompressed HDMI feed, which both of these cameras offer, then you can record for as long as you want. So this is something that both of these cameras are offering, and if you're somebody that's into pro video, then this is something definitely useful. You can connect an external recorder, something like an Atomos Ninja, and get uncompressed quality video on to the Atomos Ninja or another external recorder, and really play with the footage later on. So especially if you're going to be grading or anything and you are somebody that's into pro video, this is a great option, and it's offered on both cameras. Both of these also feature a mic in as well as a headphone out, so if you do want to be recording some more professional quality audio and you also want to be monitoring that audio as well, you can do that with both of these cameras. But on the D800 you only had a mono mic on board, so the mic on board, which to be honest you probably won't use much, you only had a mono one, but now you've got a stereo mic on the D810, so there is an improvement here. I'd usually recommend getting an external recorder altogether for DSLR video, something like the Zoom H4n, which is absolutely great, or using an external mic, something like the Rode, with manual levels on your camera, so that way you can get the best audio possible. Now the D810 also weighs a little bit less compared to the D800, 20 grams less, so not a huge deal here. It is slightly larger overall in terms of the height, the width and the depth, very slightly, just a few millimeters in it, so nothing that you're necessarily going to be noticing. So this is a slight change on here. You've also got the same battery on both of these, so it's the EN-EL15 on both cameras. So if you are coming from a D800, you are going to be able to use the same batteries. But on the D810 you are going to get improved performance, so that's up to 1200 shots compared to 900 shots on the D800. Now finally, looking at the price, the D800, you can currently pick it up for roughly about $3,000 in the US, or around about £1,800 in the UK. Now the D800E is going for roughly about $3,300. Now the D810 is going to be released in roughly about July 17th, and it's going to be coming in also at $3,300, or roughly about £2,700. You can pre-order it right now, so quite similar in price here. Now no doubt that the D800 and the D800E will be dropping in price as time goes by, because they are going to be discontinued and taken over by the D810, and those were the key differences between these two cameras. Now, if you've got the D800 right now, is it worth upgrading to the D810? Well, personally, I won't be upgrading to the D810 because it is just an incremental update. It's not a massive update compared to the D810, but if you are somebody who wants the newer features such as no optical low pass filter and some of the improvements in video, and you are serious about video, then the D810 is a good option. What do you think of the D810? Will you be buying it? Do drop me a comment below and let me know your thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, as always, please do hit that thumbs up button. It really does help me out. And why not subscribe to the channel? I've got plenty more content coming up on here. Thanks for watching. This is Saf on Super Saf TV. I'll see you next time. If you want to see more regular videos like this one, then be sure to hit the subscribe button, which will be below. If you're on a mobile device, it may be somewhere else. If you want to see my previous related video, then hit the link right here. And if you want to stay in touch over Facebook, Twitter and Google+, then all of the addresses will be there somewhere, as well as direct links in the description below. Okay, if you're still watching, then that means you've not done one of those things, so no. Yeah. Anyway, I'm just gonna go downstairs. See. Okay. There isn't really a downstairs. Anyway, so yeah.